Hey guys, welcome to my weekly update for our North Carolina Barndominium build. Today we are going to do a little bit of planning for the build site as far as the build pad goes. We had the environmental health out a couple of weeks ago and they designed the plot plan based on where the best dirt was for the drain field and the septic tank. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an update on that process and what we're going to do today in preparation for the dozer to show up within the next week, hopefully next week, to start leveling out the build pad. In Alexander County, it's not mountainous, but it's rolling hills in the southern part of the county. So we definitely have some planning that we need to do in order to make sure that the build goes smooth. My biggest concern right now is making sure that our sewage runs downhill into our septic tank. So I don't want to have to pump sewage up into a tank and into the drain field. So we're going to shoot some grades today, and we already have things staked out based on the plot plan that the environmental health laid out for us. So we're going to shoot some grades and see where we're at. So stick with me and I'll talk you guys through this process. All right guys, so laterally what you need to start out with is some offset hubs, and this right here is an offset hub. This is one of them. You need two offset hubs. This is a T-post, a 6-foot T-post embedded in probably 2 feet of concrete. Just dug a little hole to kind of secure that post to make sure it doesn't get moved by somebody out here horsing around. So that T-post and a T-post on the other side of my truck is what we are using to plan everything laterally. So the environmental health took measurements off both of those T-posts, and we triangulated the front corner of my house here where this pink flag is, and we went 56 feet this way in a straight line and made the front wall of the house, and that's what we're kind of basing everything off of. So I have a T-post triangulation, two measurements from both hubs, offset hubs, to get this point, and two measurements to get that point down there. Then what I used was Pythagorean theorem, and I laid out the back wall to make sure that the building was square. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So here and down there is the back wall, and that is squared up to the front wall, which the front side was measured about 113 feet from the road for both the front posts, or I guess the front stakes. And then from those I was able to measure over 8 feet and get the wall for my garage. So there's going to be an 8-foot gap between my garage wall and my house wall, and then there'll be a 4-foot covered breezeway connecting the two. So again, I used Pythagorean theorem to square up the building for my garage, so the posts or the stakes are square for that. And then I haven't marked this yet, but the septic tank, the environmental health wanted the septic tank 15 feet out from the back corner of my house. So from this back corner right here, 15 feet out will be the septic tank, and then I will have my distribution box, and he laid out the 4 lines, which you guys probably can't see it, but there's orange flags, yellow flags, pink flags, and green flags that run or mark my drain lines. So I needed 400 feet total of drain line, and this is where it needs to run based on the test holes I dug earlier. If you have missed that video, you can go back and catch the test holes and the process that the environmental health has you follow to dig those and to determine what type of septic system you need. So this is all downhill from the house as of right now. However, we need to knock the hill down and level the building site and get this organic topsoil off to get down to good compacted dirt. So what I'm going to do vertically is shoot some grades, and I'm not going to be able to film during that process. I'm out here by myself today, and I need my tripod for my laser level. But basically what I'm going to do is determine where I want the height of my foundation. So then we can determine where the rough grade, final grade will be, and make sure that I have fall from the house going into the septic and then fall going down into the drain lines. So that's the goal. So horizontally, that's how you do it. Vertically, I'll show you what you need to do that. So planning for your build site in the vertical plane, you're going to need a few tools. You can do a string and level line, which I did initially just to kind of get a rough estimate on how far up the hill the front of the house was compared to the back side of the house. And that kind of gives me a really rough guess as to how much fall I'm dealing with. Now that we're later on in the build process, I need to get a little more serious, and we're looking at a bigger area. I'm looking at my front yard along with my house and my garage, and the key is I want to make sure that water runs away from my building and not into it, and I don't want to set in a pond. So you have to have a few tools to do that, and I went to Lowe's for about 600 bucks. You can get all the tools you need to determine vertically where you need to be, where you need to go. So let me show you those. The first tool that you can use, this is what I'm using. It's a Bosch GLL 3-300. It is basically a plane 360 degree laser level. So you can pick this up at Lowe's. I think I paid like $3.99 for this, so about 400 bucks. And it comes with a bag, which I wish it came with a plastic carrying case to kind of protect the lasers a little bit. It comes with a drywall or a wall mount, so if you're putting up like a drop ceiling, you could mount your laser level on the wall, and this would get you your lines. And then you're also going to have to buy a transit stake. So this is an 8-foot transit stake, and this is what I will be carrying around once I get the lasers set up to determine where the level plane is. And then, as you can see, it's very bright out, so I'm not going to be able to see the actual red laser line, so you need to get a receiver. And this is the Bosch LR8 receiver, and this will pick up the laser from the 300 unit and tell me where it's at. So and then I can slide this up and down based on the gauge and see how many inches of fall or rise I have. So that's what I'm going to do next to determine what type of grading I need to do, how much I can need to knock the front down, and so forth. So unfortunately, I don't have enough hands to do all of this and film at the same time, so I'm going to go ahead and film this, or I'm going to go ahead and shoot this, and then I will let you guys know at the end of the video here what I came up with as far as fall. So stay tuned. Okay, so vertically, after shooting all the grades, this is what we came up with. These measurements are all based on road height, where the main drive is going to connect into the road in front of the garage. So as you can see, the front of the house sits above the road. So this corner is 4 inches higher than the road, 18.5 inches higher than the road, 17.5 and 14.5 inches above the road. And then as you go towards the back, the lot slopes down to a -7, -5.5, -1, and a -14.5. Moving into the drain field, the septic tank, where he had it labeled on the plot plan for the environmental health, I'm actually 22 inches below the road. The distribution box to run the drain lines, which actually run back towards the road, is a -35.5. So it's actually running downhill, which seems kind of funny, but it's actually running downhill back this way. So a little bit of planning, I think, will go a long way. This I can show my guy that's going to come with the dozer, and we can kind of figure out where we need to be grade wise. I want to be road height or above. And then once we kind of get that established, when we find the good dirt where we feel that it's compacted enough that it can support the weight of the building, then I can determine my foundation height, how high we need to come with the frost wall. So I believe code in this area, the frost line is 8 inches. So the footer needs to be below that. And then we're going to put the frost wall, an 8-inch frost wall on top of that. So, you know, we may in the back, we may have to, we may be out of the ground quite a bit in the back, which will be fine because the front of the lot, we need to remove dirt because it is higher than the front of the house. So that'll give me dirt to backfill around the backside. So far, I'm feeling good about it. That could all change when the guy with the dozer gets here, but at least I will have kind of a plan in mind so as to not waste his time when he's here. We can hopefully review this and get right to work and start making things happen. So stay tuned for that. I'm hoping that happens next week, depending on my work schedule and how things fall and his schedule. We may or may not be able to get it done next week, but that for right now is the goal. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you guys next week.